say good morning to you all. Welcome to another session of Lingua Gym TV. And the topic today is how to stay focused after failure. And hopefully with today's guests, we'll be learning a thing or two about this topic and hopefully have a good time too. Okay, so today I have the pleasure to introduce and share this hour with Borja Golan, 2 times European squash champion, 16 times Spanish champion, and former number 5 in the world. And Carlos Cornes, number 4th in Spain at the moment, with a ranking of 68 in the world and 4 times runner-up in Spain. So big stars, and big stars on and off court. So hopefully you'll enjoy the session, and any questions, if you're happy to, we'll answer towards the end, the last 15 minutes or so. But do have a couple of sessions and don't be shy to doing them with audio on, and if not, you can always, of course, communicate it through the chat. Okay, so Borja and Carlos, would you mind giving us a little bit of your background, how you got to the sport?
Charlie.
You start, Borja.
Golan.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I tried squash first time when I was 9 years. I was lucky to live very close to the club, Squash Santiago. My parents live 300 meters from there. So I was a very active kid, and I always liked to practice new sports. Like I was doing swimming, I was doing karate, soccer, also squash. And I think squash and football was the 2 sports that I like more. And then I started traveling with squash more than football, and I started to visit places in Spain, a little bit in Europe with maybe 13, 14 years. I think that was the difference, because also squash, I enjoy more, playing and also traveling with squash. For a kid of 12 or 13 years, starting to know Spain and move around Europe, I think is an unbelievable opportunity. And also the sport itself, it was really fun, and take me from the start. So I'm really happy that I was living that close from a squash court.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Carlos?
So actually for me, I was born in Santiago, same place as Borja, and our family owned the squash club. So I had no choice. when I was 3, or as far as I remember, I have always been with a racket in my hand, and then I found myself traveling with a bunch of kids like Borja and my brother. So I grew up with all these kids that used to travel around Spain and then Europe. So I was always carrying a bigger racket than me. So I was always playing and traveling around with them. So then it became a really good opportunity to as well travel and visit different parts of the world. So that's how I got attracted into the sport.
If I may add, I remember Carlos when he was 2, stealing the racket of professional players in between games and dragging it along the floor, and then having a couple of issues giving it back when the players go back on. But that's another tale for another day. Okay.
I still have that.
I'm sure you've heard it a few times. Okay, Carlos, I've heard that once you considered quitting squash, is probably, I don't know, through pressure or to try something else.
You mean well, when I was a kid, obviously being part of the squash club, we built a couple of tennis courts. So my dad suggested to give a try to tennis, and then I was quite addicted to tennis as well. So squash was not at its best moment when I was about 13.
Mm-hmm.
Squash in Spain wasn't that great at that moment. The federation was having a few issues. Mm-hmm. So my dad just suggested to give a go to tennis. So I actually played tennis for 5 years. I went to Barcelona for a year. I practiced there and at a tennis academy. And then when I was 18, I came back and I thought that tennis wasn't probably the best option for me. I was liking the sport and liking squash, so I decided to give it a go again.
Until now.
Till now.
Until many years to come.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah. And Carlos, in your case, when I heard you moved to England at some point in your life, and you lived there for a little while.
You mean Borja, right?
Borja, apologies.
Yeah.
Borja. When was this, and why did you move?
Yeah, this was in 2001. Just when around I was 18 years. So the deal was, I was training more after maybe 14, 15 years. I started taking more serious the sport. I like more. I started traveling sometimes in the junior European championships. And then, of course, as much as you train, then your level is going up. And then, in Spain, it was a good level, but of course, England was the best place to be. It was difficult because, I was studying, I was doing my bachelor, how you call in English, my bachelor, my bachelor,
baccalaureate. The baccalaureate.
Yeah. And my parents told me that, okay, you can give a try, but first you have to pass the exams of the selectivity or whatever you call. And then, that was and then entering in a university degree before go to England. And that is what I did. I just tried to pass the exams and then before do the university, I take the one year off just to try squash and improve my English. And it was really good for my squash. It was hard because I didn't speak any word of English when I went there. I was out away from my family, from my friends, in a little small town in England, which is very different to Spain, England. It was hard. The first few months was hard, but I think I could focus in squash all the time, and I trained with the best players, with one of the best coaches in the world also. It brings my squash to another level, and then I know how a professional trains since then. So I was happy to be there and good for my squash.
And for your English.
Well,
As
you
we
can see
hear.
from me, it didn't work that well, but yeah.
No, it worked. Okay. I've heard, and you can both pitch in here. I've heard that Forbes magazine has declared the squash being the healthiest sport. I don't know if you can see the screen a screenshot of the magazine. Do you agree? The healthiest sport for those who don't know squash so well?
Yeah, for professionals, I don't think any sport is healthy. So I think for amateurs or for people that just willing to do some workouts, I think squash has everything that everyone needs. It has strength, flexibility, agility, speed, also endurance. So I think it's got everything that you need just to have a good workout. And I think in a good 45 minutes of squash or 1 hour, you can actually work a lot of your body, which not many sports have that.
Okay, I don't know if you can see. Can you see the images?
Yeah.
Of what looks like a really healthy sport to me. Really good for the legs, really good for the knees in general, the ankles. A very healthy sport in general. What do you think about that?
Me?
For example, yeah.
Yeah,
one of the guys in the photos.
Like Carlos say, when you spend so many hours training for a sport in a professional way, it's tough for the body because you give every time 100%. Your body is able to take more capacity and more work. So every day you push your limits, and it's tough for the body because you always want to improve, and that's the body have to pay and live with that. But yeah, for amateur, like Carlos say, for half an hour of squash, for people that likes the sport and love to move, I think half an hour, 45 minutes is you do like other sports you need maybe 2 hours. So I think it's really, really good for you, and also which is also very fun, which is very important. I think you are with another player fighting in the score for try to win, and every time you go in the squash court, you learn new things, new tricks. So you want to come back again to try these new tricks and to improve yourself. So I think it's not only the physical side and only the mental side. It's also the like a very fun activity.
Okay, and following on that, the mental side you mentioned now, Borja, they've all, or at least in Spain, I don't know in other countries, but they consider squash being the chess with the physical play, like playing chess but with a physical aspect. Could you explain why they say this?
Yeah, I mean, I played chess in the high school and my level was very bad, so I not really understand the game. But I beat a few guys in my school, but they are much worse than me, so that didn't count. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I can imagine that in squash, for example, yeah, the average on a match, for me, for example, a hard match, it will be between 160 average heart rate. So imagine when you are, and also you can get to 180, 185 easily. So yeah, I mean, you don't have time to think. You are tired all the time. You have to think. You don't have that much oxygen in your brain. So everything gets more difficult. It's easier thinking in your sofa when you are at 60 or 70 heart rate, you know. And in squash, if you don't think, if you play the wrong shot many times, then you are in trouble. So the opponent is moving you around the court and it will kill you very soon. So it's so important in squash, be fit, but also have a strategy and think in each point and in each shot what you want to play. Because then it's like you say, like a chess. Every shot is so important to move your opponent around the court, and that's like a chess game. I think you have to decide in very little seconds when you are tired the best option, and sometimes you don't have that time to think that much. So it's very quick, and you have to think quick also.
Be on your feet. Okay. And Carlos, you also feeding from Borja's answer. You're very known, I think, to be an attacking player, an offensive player, and to be quite spontaneous and quite natural on court. To be yourself on court, not to change too much when you're playing. Isn't that riskier than being a strategic player who keeps very cool on court?
Yeah, I think that a player reflects a lot on court as the same way as he is outside of the court, which means that you can't change your person, or you can change your character once you are on court. So I really think that exposing yourself and showing yourself on how you are on court is the best way, right? We don't do it only for our jobs. We do it because it's our passion and it's the thing that we love. So you want to also have a good time and you want to enjoy. So I really feel like the way of behaving on court is the same way as you are off court.
We're grateful for that. Do you agree, Borja?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the question, like in the first part of I think that also the player is changing. I think you said that Carlos was very attacking player. I started my career being a defensive player, using my fitness a lot, playing in conventional courts, which is different than a glass court. Also, your game have to change. And yeah, for example, the last 6-7 years, my game changed also a lot. I compare myself in a more attacking player. Of course, you have to attack when the opportunities comes. Cannot attack every shot from every place. Probably Carlos the same. Even if he's an attacking player, he knows he has to build the point and he has to be quite fit. I mean, for a sport like squash, like you say, is one of the hardest in the world. You cannot win only with shots. You have to be a good base of a physical aspect. But yeah, I mean, yeah, my first part of my career was believing in my fitness a lot and maybe make the rallies very long just to try to get tired of the opponent. But I realized that with that kind of game, you cannot be on the top. You have to also be a very good player attacking and use the speed to attack, not only to defend. So yeah, and then also, like you say, using the strategy. I think as you are getting older and you spend more hours on the court, you understand better the game, and you start using more plans on your strategy. So Yeah, so I think we never stop learning from squash. Yeah, all the time learning every day.
Every day, every year. To be a little less time on court probably as well. Okay, I don't know if you can see again, you're both, Borja and Carlos, represent Spain and traveling around the world, and they've done really well in the last few years, especially. And my question is, when you're playing a competition representing Spain, and you're perhaps 2-2, so the other country's got two matches won, and Spain's got another 2, and it's on one of you to decide whether we as a country win or lose. How do you cope with this, with the pressure? Because again, squash is quite a fast sport, and you haven't got a lot of time to think, and there is a lot going on behind you as well.
Probably you try and distract yourself, just thinking on each point as it comes, and not just overthinking what the situation is like. So once you get on court, you really try and be focused on the next point, or even on the next shot, not only on the point. So you try and take it 1 second at a time. You don't want to think of what the income is or what's going to happen if we can't control that. So just try and control what you can control, and don't think too much on the if, right? That's what I try and focus on. Even though my mind is a bit all over the place for some moments, but you always try and focus on the next point, as Borja said before, or in the next shot, and don't think on what's going to happen later.
And what if things go wrong? How does the team cope with that? How do you help each other to take it easy? Silence.
So you want to answer that, or?
No, I will answer all the questions before, but after, but yeah, I can answer both.
Okay. For me personally, when you play for a team, it's quite different, because when we travel for the tour, we travel on our own, and probably you are in a country in the world, you are in Pakistan, or you are in India, or you are in China, or in wherever you are, and you look outside and you don't see familiar faces. So probably being part of a team event, and you look outside the glass, and you see your team cheering for you and pushing for you, and that gives you the extra. Sometimes it's even 1%, but that 1% is probably what you need at that time. So it makes a huge difference playing for the team, for sure.
They help. Yeah, I suppose you're not used to that. Like you said, you travel alone for most of the year, and it's kind of a big boost to have people with you. And again, in squash, being, let's say, a sport that doesn't get big prizes, monetary prizes, even for big tournaments, do you feel that your responsibility is even higher? Because if the results aren't great, sponsors are not going to perhaps continue with the deals. Federation, grants and so on are much at risk, really. Is that a lot of pressure, and does that make you perform better or worse?
For me, for example, I think when I started playing PSA, I was 19 years. So it's completely different. I'm 37 now. I have 2 daughters now, a family. So you have to pay bills and all that. So it's completely different. When I was 19, you don't have that pressure behind you. You only have the pressure of yourself. And I think the most of the players have this pressure at the start. So I didn't concentrate that much on the money, really, when I was that young. I was lucky that my federation paid me the most of my expenses in England that year. So I just have to focus on my trainings and on try to be the best as I can in a short time, because also it's a problem in small sports as a squash. If you are not going up in the rankings very quick, you start to get expenses and you don't win any money. So you start to do some squash lessons, then you cannot train as good as you trained before, and then always happens the same, then your level is going down, you don't win that many tournaments. So I think you have to focus on your squash. If you want to go up, you have to be, the determination have to be high. I was lucky to did well in the first year. So I enter in a ranking like maybe top 50. That from there you can enter in the most of the tournaments. You maintain the the government funding, and you start to get small sponsors plus the prices of the tournament. So then you start to survive. You start to enter in the world of squash, and you can live with that. But yeah, it's not easy. I mean, many players train, they don't win a match, they come back with losses, with less money in your pocket. So yeah, it's tough. You have to train hard. You have to pursue your dream, but training every day 100%, and then be lucky with the injuries, and yeah, just in my case, I enjoy, and I was lucky to pass that stage, the first stage, which is more difficult, and then of course maintain there. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned have fun, be lucky. Just wonder, I don't know if you can see this screen at the moment.
Yeah.
What is it with the faces, Borja? What's going on?
It's always the same face, eh?
Often.
It's not the best.
He's not enjoying there. Huh?
Very concentrated on the ball and not on my face, eh? You can see. Yeah.
Don't think of this when you're playing next and you've got the photographer behind, in front, on the side. But yeah, it's kind of it's kind of a trend.
If I can put that face, I cannot put my face if I don't have a racket on my hand.
Exactly. I'm not going to ask you. Don't worry. Okay, Carlos, you're laughing, yeah? Are you ready?
Yeah. Well, I think that was more like a exhibition match. You see the other guys laughing there as well, right? So I was probably I hit the wrong spot there. I hit the glass instead of hitting the foam wall.
I don't know, but the other guy is looking for the ball. What are you doing?
Well, he's laughing, right? It was an exhibition match. This one, I think, it was in Bulgaria last year. So we were playing an exhibition, and you try and have more fun and entertain the crowd. But I don't think I will have time for that. Even if I'm more spontaneous than Borja on court, I consider myself as a more spontaneous and different on court than Borja or many other players where they're 100% focused. So I'm having fun on that picture for sure, but I can assure you it's not the usual face I have on the court.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's because you were laughing when I put photos. I thought, right, well, you get one as well. I know you're not like that. Okay, both question for both of you. Obviously, squash is, like you said, it's quite a very fast sport. The heart rate goes up very, very fast. And the rallies, apart from Borja's in a few cases that, he feels free to have 3 minutes for a rally when most people maybe is half the time. Do you, when you make a mistake, when you hit a tin, when you make the wrong shot, you choose the wrong shot, how do you have a tactic, a ritual, something to remain focused, to go back onto your zone and reset and start again?
Yeah, I mean, for example, squash is could be a matches of an hour and a half. I think in that time you can be concentrate 95% of the time, or you try to, if you disconcentrate for maybe a second, try to don't be more than 1 or 2 points, because we play only to 11 points. So if you lost 3-4 points, you can lose easily the game. So if you lose the focus, you have to try to be only like really short periods. So it's very important, like you say, after I think after each rally, even if you win, even if you lose, you have to concentrate, restart, and concentrate what you want to do in the next rally. So even if you are fighting with the ref, if you're fighting with your opponent, or maybe the people outside is clapping for the other player, I think you have to refocus and just think on what you want to do in the next rally. I think it helped me a lot. Don't think in external things, only think on what you can control. So for example, imagine, tell to myself, okay, now I will move the other player around 4 corners, or I want to be aggressive with my volley, or I want to play in the back all the time now. So if you put something in your head, you forget about everything and you only focus on that kind of thing. So I think it helped me a lot to restart and to think only in that thing when I'm playing the rally.
So the strategy for the next point, basically.
Yeah.
And in your case, Carlos?
Yeah, I think it's a very fine line. No? There's a very fine margin between thinking and overthinking, right? Sometimes, especially in squash, everything goes so fast that if you think too much, then you're gonna lose points like this, which means that you wanna think, obviously, but you also wanna do some things that are automatic, or being like a robot and doing certain things without thinking. But yeah, obviously we all have small routines. I have my own small routine before almost every point. Like, you want to bring back your focus and just think, as Borja said, think on the next point, or think what you want to do and restart your focus. And then having a routine on that, a very small routine, even if it's a signal or a thought or whatever you want to have, I think that really helps.
But what is that signal that you have? Is it to be disclosed? There's no players online now?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's fine. I mean, we all have different, right? I have my racket has a couple of numbers in the frame, so I look at those numbers and I think on those numbers, and then I just I'm ready for start again, and all my negative thoughts are gone. So I think we all have that, right? You need to have it just to think on the next point and leave the negative vibes on the behind.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and how do you train your body language? Again, I don't know if it's the same in both of your cases, but when you, like Borja said before, when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you're angry, when there's lots of feelings going on, even in that hour and a half or 2 hours of the game, how do you plan your body language? Or you're completely natural? If you're angry, you show it, like you mentioned before, when you have to argue with a ref. Do you control your body language, or are you natural and go with the flow, basically?
For myself, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's so important when I talk with players, with juniors in some camps or wherever, I always tell to them that it's so important when you don't show your emotions, when you try to be as cool as, you know. I think it's very hard when you see an opponent that they don't show any emotions, they don't show the fatigue, they don't show any kind of negative like emotions. So it's hard to beat a guy that don't give you anything. So I just try to tell them, to the juniors, that they have to try to don't show the emotions, try to don't fight with the ref, because I learned from my errors. I did many years that kind of things. For example, like fight with the ref sometimes is not point, because you only disconcentrate yourself and you put the ref against you, which is even worse. Then it will be worse for you. But in my case, for example, like other players, for example, I think you cannot control. Like I said before, we are 180, 190 heart rate sometimes. You don't think the same. You don't feel the same on that time. You are maybe in Malaysia playing a tournament. You train for that tournament 1 month. You are in the 5th game, 8-all, and suddenly 2 bad decisions and you are out. And in that moment, you can think that it's not your fault, it's a person's fault, that maybe it's not well prepared for that moment, and you start to get crazy sometimes. So, but I think, I try with the years, try to control these things, try to be calm after each rally, reset again, and try to fight less, for example, with refs. And I think it helps, because if you are clever with the refs, they can help you. And that's very, very good. Then I play with younger players now, and they start to get crazy with that and to lose focus with other things. And then is when I have my chance to say, okay, I passed through that situation many times now. You are in trouble.
You will be. Or could people be, so an opponent, could they be, let's say, extremely emotional on purpose? So show emotions on purpose to distract, to make you lose concentration. Have you ever played someone like that, who try and play mental tricks?
Well, probably not showing emotions, but there's people that they love the trash talking. So whatever is trying to distract yourself from your goal is not going to help if you fall into it, right? Which means I'm still, as Borja said, he's older than me. I'm still trying to work on it. Don't show him my emotions. Hopefully I still have time. I still have 6 more years or so. But as Borja said, the more things you can control, the better player you're gonna become. So I think it's a good thing that you need to work on it.
Okay. And how do you train your mind then? In that case, how do you do it? Is it match after match that you try and say, right, well, today I'm going to try and be 90% non-emotional, poker face, and the next match I'll be 95% poker face? How do you do this? Because you're traveling most of the time, you're playing matches most of the time, you're at home really quite little time. So we're kind of grateful for the quarantine that we can also have you here today, and I'm sure you're happy as well that you can be with your families as well. But how do you stop and train this kind of thing? Because life is too fast on circuit.
Yeah, I think for example, like firstly, you have to take that errors from the matches you play, because I think you can never replicate a match. All the aspects in a match is very difficult to replicate. But we play so many matches. We play league matches, we play exhibition matches, we play professional matches on the tour. So we can practice a lot there, and we can take a lot of errors from there. So I think firstly we can learn from there, first point, and then of course we can bring it to the normal trainings. I think if you are playing practicing matches, which is the most similar thing to competition matches, you don't have a ref, but you have the other aspects are the same, and I think you can improve a lot there. You have to be cool, you have to be calm, you have to to play the most of the balls you can, no asking for many leads or strokes. Like the problems in the squash matches in the competition is coming from this kind of decisions, from lead, no lead, stroke. So in trainings, if you can play the most of the balls, then in the matches, in the competition will be the same. You don't have to ask for many decisions, so it will be less discussions with the ref. And I think a third option, I think, is also working with a professional, with a psychologist, for example, because many times we are working with physical trainers, coaches, ourselves training really hard, but our mind is very, very difficult. Even for ourselves, sometimes we are focused only on one thing and we forget the things around us. So I think with a good professional, you can think differently and you can take the same thing with different perspectives. So in my case, when I started working with psychology like 10 years ago, for one summer, it changed a lot of, for example, how to deal with depression in really tough situations. So it gave me 2 or 3 tips to do when I was under pressure, and it helped me a lot. So I don't think it will change your game, but it will help to be more, to compete better and to be a better player in the end.
Is it the same for you, Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, it's like everything on life, right? You need to train that on a day by day basis, right? It's not something that's gonna appear. Magic doesn't exist. Like suddenly that you can go into a match and everything is gonna click. Okay, it can happen once or twice during the year, but you really need to train that on a daily basis. So if you feel like there's some area of your game that you need to improve, like Borja said, work with a psychologist. We spend so many hours training by ourselves or training with our coaches, with our physical trainers, that if you have the chance to work with a psychologist and probably work on that areas of your game that you're not used to work on it, you're going to improve a lot. So do that day to day and day by day basis, and the results will come.
So how much of your training is physical and how much is mental, psychological?
Physical, I mean, psychological, for me, at the moment, I'm not doing any particular training psychological 100%. But when you train, you are working your mind, you are working your. So, for example, if you are doing physical trainings, sometimes some of them are not that that good for your body, and maybe they are very good for your mind, so because it makes you tougher. So I think you are working your mind all the time when you are training in squash, in the score, outside court. So you are working all the time your mind. So then specific, like I say, then when the matches are come, then competition are come, then you can focus more on on try to develop these little things that you are struggling with. But yeah, I think for me at the moment, I'm with 37 and in the end of my career, so I just wanna mainly enjoy and take every tournament like if it is the last, and I enjoy it so much. So but for younger players probably is different. They have to improve so many things still when they are 20 or 19 or 21. They have maybe to focus more on that kind of things. I cannot improve much more now, so I just want to enjoy it more now.
Enjoy. Carlos, you still have to improve some more in enjoying.
Yeah, to be honest, that's a thing that I learned a lot from Borja. No? When I started training on a high level, he's so professional and he's so dedicated and so passionate. I remember once I was arriving to training and he was always there. So he was there warming up, getting ready for the session. So I remember once I went to the club around 45 minutes before the session, and he was already there as well. So I was like, damn, I cannot get to the club before this guy. So he's so professional, and that's one of the things that I learned from him, that everything he does, he's like a robot, right? He goes there, warms up and does his back exercises, and then he warms up again, and then he does the session, he cools down. So that's one thing I really learned from him, because obviously in Spain we're not lucky to have a structure like in England or in France that they show you how to do it. So he's been in England and I haven't been there, so I was trying to learn as much as I could from Borja, but he's a real example of professionalism.
How?
It's opposite. Sorry, Lorna. It's opposite now. Now with my two daughters now, I arrive later than Carlos, and I leave before Carlos. So I'm jealous.
Not true.
I'm
not
jealous
true.
of it now.
You're warming up at home. You're stretching at home, and then
No.
That's what he does.
I work with my daughters. Yeah.
He already comes to the club and he's got his yoga done and his warm up already done. So yeah, you can never train more than Borja. No chance.
It's not not humanly possible.
No.
Okay, and Borja, we mentioned pain and injuries. You had a pretty nasty knee injury a few years ago, and I think your career was touch and go. How did you manage to overcome not only the injury, the recovery, and then go back on court and still be impressively competitive at a very high level?
Yeah, I think when I have this big injury in 2009, I already have injuries before that one, but of course no one has a cruciate ligament. You need like 7 or 8 months to be again on court. So it was tough in that moment because I just reached my best position, get to top 10 in the world. So it was my aim for many years. It takes 8 years of playing the tour to be on that position. And suddenly all this work coming to nothing in just a few months. So you are from your house in your sofa with couldn't walk, and I just saw the rankings every month. You're going down, and you can't do anything. So it's a bit frustrating. But I think for a sport person like we are, Carlos or me, I think when the goal is more difficult, I think you fight harder. So and we love squash. So it was hard before the surgery because I didn't know who will be the doctor, how will be the recovery. But after I made the surgery and I know the process, it was very also motivating because I know in 1 month I will be doing physio, in 2 months I will be doing bike, in 3 months I start walking, running a little bit, 4 months be on the court, hitting some balls, 5 months start doing routines. So I enjoy every stage of that period, and by that time I was traveling a lot, so it was like a stop and time to reflection, with my wife, with my family for 8 months, and it was in the middle of my career, so I think it was a good boost of energy also to work on the things I was not strong enough. So I think after that time, and then I think the most important thing is when I was playing squash, I will enjoy more than before, because before you focus more on the results, you know, on little things. But when you have an injury that you don't know if you can come back to play, then you are so happy to play. And I think it makes the difference. And of course, the people think that you don't have any pressure, because people think that you cannot do it, and you don't have any kind of pressure because nobody expects nothing from yourself again. So it's good to demonstrate people, okay, I can do better. And many other sportsmen do the same. It's a big injury 30 years ago, but nowadays we have technology, and you know, and the doctors are doing very good things. Also, the physiotherapy improved a lot. So it was a good time at home.
Keep positive.
Yeah.
and following the same line, and with Carlos as well. If you're in pain, either after an injury or during an injury, I'm sure you play with injuries as well. How do you keep the motivation going? How do you keep pushing through and nudging through until you finally break it again? Because it is quite hard.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough not to have any big injury like Borja. He's had a couple of them, so touch wood. I was lucky enough not to have a long one. But obviously, being a professional athlete, we have a few niggles, right? Which they distract you from the game, and they are there, right? And you have to play through it. So I think, as Borja said, the physios and the physical trainers and the doctors have improved a lot of our game, which means if you do a lot of injury prevention and if you do a good treatment, that really improves. And like Borja said, once you start doing an exercise for let's say your hip or your wrist or whatever it is, you do an exercise and you see it's improving week by week, then it really gives you the motivation to keep on doing that exercise. That's like everything, right? If you have a new niggle, you know, if you have to prevent having another one. So if you see the results and you work on it, there's no problem to work on that.
No, the physical part is clear, but the mental parts, please, I don't know if I can, you know, can I jump on the plane, go to Malaysia with this pain? Am I gonna lose the first round and come back after doing 18 hours flight and a lot of money spent?
Yeah, I mean, the body changes so much day by day. So you arrive to a tournament and you are fresh, and then you sleep on the wrong position, and you wake up and you have your neck like this, and then you can't. I mean, you need just to think day by day and try and control and do that prevention that you can, and then just be ready for what comes, right? If you have to play through a needle, you have to do it. It's your job, right? We're not 100% every day. I think there was they did a research couple of years back that they say 4 days per year you can pick at your maximum level. So that's 4 days per year. That 100% everything's gonna go right. So I don't think that's a lot. So you need to be ready. There's always gonna be something, right? And if you're strong enough, you can play through it. If you're not strong enough, you're gonna lose, which means you need to be strong mentally and go full speed.
Okay. Couple of questions more from my part, because I'm sure there are a few people there wanting to ask you questions too. But I've always wondered, squash is obviously an individual game, and people have to be very competitive to stay on. How do you keep your friendship or on the circuit? It doesn't have to be in your case specifically, but how do people build on friendships and keep the friendships going when you know you may find yourselves in quarterfinals and having to battle each other, and one will lose, one will win, and then we go back home and we train together on Monday? How can you do this? How can you be such a great team player and at the same time such a competitive individual player? Either. I'm not gonna go Borja, Carlos, Borja.
I mean, for example, me and Carlos is a different thing because we are very good friends, but also we train all the time together. When we travel, we share rooms all the time. Carlos is more than a friend, is more than a partner, you know. So when we play competition, it's completely different. With him, I know what he doesn't like. He know what I don't like. We try to. It's tough. I mean, it's really tough because, yeah, even in trainings, sometimes because we train all the time, so we are very competitive, both of us. And yeah, I mean, 90% of the time we train perfectly, is no problems. But sometimes this 10%, you know, we are fighting, we are talking. But I think it's very good also because in a competition match, you have this kind of things. So, and that means that you always want to improve. If we never discuss, if we never argue, that means that we don't care as much. But when you care about something, you also have to fight sometimes to see, okay, this is my territory, this is mine, you know. And like I say with Carlos, when we play, for example, in nationals every year, then it's tough because we feel the pressure, we know each other very well, and we are really good friends. But at the moment, and in that moment, we know each other very well, and we try to, you know, to damage ourselves inside. So it's not that easy. But for example, when I play with other players, we have good relations. Some of them we have not as good. What I feel is when I play with a friend on court, I respect more him, and I try to be more, you know, try to be more fair. But then if you play with another player that you don't have any kind of contact, and he starts to do things to you, then you start to doing even harder, you know, because you don't care that much. But when you have a good friendship with someone, it's different. You have 100%, you go 100%, but this respect can affect your game a little bit. But yeah, but with Carlos, it's not okay. We have so much confidence that is like the path, how you say, the worst rival, you know, the worst enemy. So we go to the war.
What can I say if I've never beaten Borja? So what am I gonna say here?
You have tried.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I see the draw and I see I have to play Borja, it's a nightmare, right? It's a completely nightmare in many different aspects because he knows what to do to beat me, and he's better at those areas than me. So I can probably beat a better player than Borja, but Borja has that extra that he knows what to do against me. I also know what to do against him, but it's not good enough. I don't know if I'm getting it right here, but his strength parts are better than mine. So, and then there's the friendship as well, which you try and control it, but then you are on court, there's pressure, and then you have to go to the same room together, and you feel bad, and at the same time you feel good. When I lose to Borja, let's say we play a couple of months ago, on one hand I felt terrible because obviously I lost, I was out of the nationals, but on the other hand I saw him winning a good match that he has to play the final again next day, so it's kind of a reward as well because he's doing the right thing. So for me it's a completely nightmare to play Borja.
And you're thinking, I'll stay in the hotel room. You suffer a little bit on court.
No, it's not that way. But for me, it's a nightmare to play him. But as Borja said, I'm not that close with anyone on tour like Borja, so I can judge it with other different players. So you have to play, and it's your bread at the end of the day, right? It's your job. So you're gonna do whatever it takes to win the match. And not everything, not out of the lines, right? Or yes, no, I mean no, not out of the lines, but with Borja it's completely different.
Okay, just one more. I keep saying one more, but I've got two more, three more.
No problem.
And then I'll open mic. I promise. All the skills that you have as professional sports people and as the people you are off court too. So you're good team players. You've got leadership. You've got a lot of initiative, competitiveness. Do you think this will work in the future? So when you're not active professional squash players, do you think that everything that you've learned over the past 20 odd years will help you for your future career?
I think sport in general help people to be, you know, to be better in what they do in life, mainly for when you are a kid, because it's where you are learning like a person. You are, become it's where you start to learning all the things. Of course, if you start practicing sport when you are 50, it's more difficult because your personality is already formed. But I think, in my case, I think, of course, we have to learn many other things outside the sport in the specific job where we want to do. Of course, it's not point about that. But I think also I was always thinking a lot in that we spend so many hours doing one thing, that is try to improve every day, try to give 100% every day, try to challenge all the time, try to play, like, for example, like Carlos said, for me the most important tournament in the year and the most fun one is play for Spain with my team, with my mates, because it's nothing compared to that. For example, the last 2 years we finished second and third, the best results in my 20 or 22 Europeans I played, and it was the best feeling in a squash court, no doubt. And I did also other very good results individual, maybe better ones, like other super series tournaments, but no one gave me that kind of thing. So I think, like I say, there are many good things for the future that we can take from sport, in our case squash, like working like a team is very important, and you want the best for the other guys also. Like I say, waking up every day with the motivation to do the best you can do in that day, and to try to also to tell the people around you that they have to do the same, because it's like a team. Doesn't matter if you do 100% and the other guys are giving the 50%. So I think in this kind of things we have a little advantage from other people that don't live like that every day. So sport, it gives you another perspective. But like I say, we have also to improve a lot of other things that they are outside also the sport.
And Carlos, the same?
Yeah. Following that, the sport puts you in so many different situations, right? And you obviously can take those situations into life. Let's say they put you into a competition situation, or you travel in the world and you meet different people, meet different cultures, and you open your mind. And I think we're both grateful enough that we have been in every part of the game. We've been on court, we've been off court with teammates, we've been different situations that you have to challenge every day, and I think you can only do that once you play a sport like squash on a professional basis. But like Borja said, playing for the teams, it's just something that gives you extra, right? It gives you that little bit more that obviously you can take that for the future.
Great. And last one from my part, I promise. What do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years or so?
Wow, 5 years. I don't know when I'm gonna be in the next month.
I know, but we tell you that, Borja, don't worry. You're gonna continue.
Yeah, if they let me play with this COVID situation, it will be tough. But I think I will be involved with the squash. I don't know in what kind of department or doing what kind of job, but I think is what I would love to do. I like to keep giving my energy and my focus to my sport, because I think it's a lot of work to do, and I wish to see my sport higher than it is now, which is in the good way, because we are improving every year. I played professional since 2001, and the tour changed a lot. There are many more tournaments. The quality of the video is much higher. Tournaments are higher. Players are better. So I think Spain is in a better position in the worldwide in squash level, in juniors, in seniors. So I think it's a good horizon for us, and I wish I could give my experience to my sport. And in other things, I don't think I understand as well as my sport. I play squash since I was 9 years, so I went every day to my club since then. So you spend so many hours doing this kind of thing that at least you have something and some knowledge there So in other parts, I don't think you start, maybe you have to start from zero or close to zero. In squash, at least you have a background and you know a little bit. So yeah, hopefully in squash you can see me in the future.
Great. And Carlos? Carlos, instead of 5, let's make it 8. You're that little bit younger.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
8 or 10.
As Borja said, things have changed a lot, but I've had a racket in my hand since I was 3, so I'm not gonna stop now. Yeah, probably 8 years time. Obviously, being involved with the sport, I will always love to give to juniors or to people at the club all the knowledge that I have, and probably obviously still 100% involved with the sport, whether it's in a coaching area or behind off court, or I can't see myself doing anything apart from squash for not only for 8 years. If your question is about the next 25 years, my answer will be exactly the same. I love squash. Borja can tell you, I watch a lot of squash. I watch all the tournaments that I'm not taking part on. So probably I'm gonna do that until I can't see no more.
Great stuff. Okay, open mix if you want. If you're happy to, if you would like to ask Borja or Carlos a question or two, I'll be quiet now.
Well, I had about 7 or 8 questions, but I don't know if we'll have enough time, so I'm gonna start and then you stop me. Okay, so Borja, I've seen that they called you El Rafa Nadal del squash. Have you met him, or have you met Carolina Marin or whatever?
No, I mean, I was with Rafael Nadal in a prize given by the government like long time ago, but never told to him. But and with Carolina Marin, I think it was the same, but I never met her. But yeah, I mean, they are really good examples for the rest of the sports Spanish people, because they are very humble and they in their sport they win everything. So I think, yeah, they are very good examples for us. But Carlos can tell you more, because Carlos met Rafa and he was having dinner with him, because he was playing tennis and he knew, so he have some friends in common. So Carlos, maybe he can. Sorry.
Yeah, as I told you, when I was in Barcelona, I was at the academy that we were sharing a flat with other players, and one of my flatmates, she was the girlfriend of Tomeu Salva. Maybe it's the best friend of Nadal. They used to play with each other when they were juniors, and now I think he's helping him traveling and all this. And so his girlfriend and Rafa and all the group of people we went for dinner, and we had quite a nice time. And yeah, he's very humble, and he's very competitive, and he loves a good chat with friends. And I think it's what you need to learn from this kind of people, right? That they're very humble, and they like the competition, and they fight day by day, and they're just normal people like us, and that shows you that you can do anything and achieve your goals.
And also, I mean, you mentioned England and other countries in Asia, but in which countries is squash the most popular sport? Where do you have your tournaments?
You have, yeah, I mean, the better players are coming from Egypt at the moment, maybe 15 years ago from England, maybe 25 years ago from Australia, from Pakistan. But at the moment, Egypt have the best players. You have maybe 6 or 7 players in the top 10, or maybe 10 players in the top 20. So also in women's the same. I think it's because they have so many juniors. The juniors are working so hard. They are very professional since the age of 10 or 11. They having a squash coach, they having a fitness coach, even a psychologist. So I think the clubs make sure that these juniors have a good program, and they are competing each other since they are under 11, under 13. They are killing each other on the court, playing tournaments every week, every month. So when you see Egyptian player, when they are 18, 19 years, or even less than that, they have already very good experience because they were competing already for 5 or 6 years at the highest level, training properly. So you can see Egyptians normally, they mature much quicker than English people or Spanish or French, because here you don't start really training as a professional probably after high school, after 17 or 18. So Egyptians are training 3 or 4 hours when they are 12, 13. So it's a big difference. And the quantity is very big, that the quality, of course, is very important. Maybe they start 200 kids in under 11, and then, you know, then it's going under 19, you maybe have 20 or 30 players, but the very best. So I think that is the difference. A lot of quantity, and it makes the quality after.
And talking about Egypt, have you played against Mohamed El Shorbagi?
Yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, I know this guy. I played many times him. I lost the most of times, but I could beat him 2 or 3 times, so I'm very happy.
You know what? One very good thing from Borja, I think he's beaten every player that is on tour at the moment. So at least once he's beaten everyone on tour, right, Borja?
Yeah, because I'm very old, so I play many matches.
No.
Yeah, you got some quality moments with Shorbagi.
And here in Galicia, are there any other clubs apart from Squash Santiago? And
yeah, in Galicia at the moment, they're doing a great job from the federation, and I think there's a junior circuit. It's called Borja Oran Junior Circuit, and there's a group of maybe 100 kids. I don't know if I get it right, the numbers, but around 100 kids that they play that circuit, and I think it's in 4 or 5 different clubs. There's one in, a couple of them in Vigo, a couple of them in there's one very big school here in Lugo. There's one in Santiago. They just opened a new court as well in Santiago. I think that the federation is doing a great job in Galicia, and we having more and more kids than we had before.
okay, and last question, where can we watch your matches? Eurosport, or where can we watch the squash?
Yeah, I think you can watch in Eurosport, and also in Squash TV. But I think Carlos, Eurosport player, because I don't watch many matches there, but Carlos watches all.
Yeah,
so
you can watch it Eurosport player, and sometimes they do streaming on YouTube. So you can just type in YouTube Squash TV, and then whenever it's a live event, they usually stream that on YouTube as well. So it's very easy these days with the new technologies to watch the sport.
Okay, I hope to see you in the finals. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a question here on chat. I'm going to translate it, so apologies if it's not quite great English, but basically, so how do you believe you can apply your techniques for when you make a mistake and you get frustrated, talking in English and thinking in English?
For Carlos or for me?
It's open.
I think it's for Borja, that one.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. How can you apply your techniques when you're frustrated, to not make mistakes, talk in English, and knowing that you have to maintain control, more or less?
Okay, technique. I mean, I take just the word technique for your technical skills. You mean, or
I
just
think more.
Your
That's more
skills
tactical.
Yeah,
your mental techniques. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You think by myself, or to advise this player for him?
Possibly to advise.
Okay.
I understand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think doesn't matter if you talk to yourself in English or Spanish, Galician, or in Portuguese. I think the main thing is the message you give to your brain, because then it will be your brain will give the order to your muscles. So I think the most important thing is give always a positive message to yourself, and try to motivate yourself, because I saw many players always negative. So this only can put you down. If you are at your 80% and you are negative, you will play at your 70, 60, 50%. If you are playing at your 80%, you give positive, you can move to 90% or even up from that. So I think I will tell to him that even if the things are going wrong, try to. I know sometimes it's difficult because sometimes we are losing, sometimes we are tired, sometimes we are slower. And it's tough, but always if you give yourself a positive message, you always can improve your actual situation. So so yeah, I don't know if in English or in Galician. I will try in Galician. Is better.
the good and bad language sounds better.
Spanglish, right?
Spanglish. I don't know if anybody else has a question.
I've just got one. Because Carlos, I know your brother lives in the US. Borja, you lived in England for a little bit. Have either of you ever considered moving out of Spain to improve your squash?
Well, for me personally, Steve, I was quite lucky that when I started to play and when my professional career, I had Borja here. So to be honest, there's nowhere else in the world that I could improve more than in Santiago, having a great facility, great physical coaches, and Borja, which means that I was lucky enough not to have to move out from Santiago. But I think if that wasn't the case, if you want it really badly, you would really definitely. If I didn't have Borja here, obviously, I wouldn't mind changing my residence to achieve my dreams, whatever it's. If, as Borja said, if it's in Galicia or if it's in France, or if you want to achieve your dreams, you sometimes need to get out of the comfort zone, and I wouldn't mind doing it.
Me?
Yeah. Would you like? Obviously, now your career maybe is probably in its last year. I don't know how long your family are going to let you continue playing. But
yeah.
Like before, maybe like obviously you went to an English squash academy in England. Did you ever consider staying in England just to improve your squash? Or
Yeah, I mean, I say that the choice of going to England and spend that year it helps extremely much to my squash, but also at the end of that year. It gave to me also a lesson that it's very important, the quality of your trainings, but also it's really important how you feel when you are training, how you feel when you are living. So after that year, I think it was enough for me. I mean, I was living also in a small town in England. I was many hours by myself, only training, and after that, nothing else. So for a kid of 19, 20 years, maybe if I was living in a different area, in a big city, it would be completely different. But I think it was really good for my squash. But I think 1 year was the right amount of time. I'm sure if I be in England, I will improve quicker, because then I remember I moved to Spain. I started studying journalism for 3 years, and after that 3 years, I start training again twice a day and be professional again. But I think also studying journalism and maybe take squash a little bit apart, then also gave me the energy and the motivation again to try 100% again. And I'm not sure if I will be in England for many more years, then maybe I get bored or like I say, I was not that happy after trainings. I work by myself all the time, and a lot of hours boring, and yeah, it's completely different. So I think I was right doing that. But very happy to be that year in England. Really happy to know my coach, which I still have in contact with him, John Milton. He's like a second father for me. And I always talk about, I went to England last year to Europeans, and I stopped in my old club when I was training every day there. It looks another life watching now from 18 years behind. It looks another life because happens so many things after that. But I have only good memories from that time. So that I think is also good. I don't have any any kind of regret from that year. But maybe if I spend 2 or 3 years more, then maybe it was negative for me. So I was happy to be there, so happy, and then leave when I was not that happy.
You should have called us, Borja. We were there at that time.
Yeah, you were close by there.
I don't think I was that far away.
No.
Yeah,
And
where you were there?
Well, because I'm from Bristol, so I'm actually from where Shavagi's living at the moment. So
Yeah, but Bristol is much better than Brighton.
You are from the. I was gonna say you are from the right spot in England, man.
I know.
You should be proud of being from Bristol.
Well, I trained a few times with Hadrian Stiff, so I actually trained with the head of Elite Squash. So now he's got such a big thing going on there. Obviously, he's very busy, but you know, the likes of watching Mohamed Shavagi and all of those professionals was a weekly thing for me. I used to be able to go and just watch them whenever I wanted. But you know, I wouldn't move back to Bristol if I had the choice. I'd rather stay here. But yeah,
Bristol is the best city in the UK.
that,
It was like Milladoiro, but 40 years ago, and with bad weather.
yeah.
I mean, home is home, right? And I think if you can do your own thing, being at home it's paradise.
Yeah.
perfect example for now. Okay, one question from me. The Olympics, when is squash going to finally be an Olympic sport? Do you think we'll see it? Because we've been so close, and yet so far.
I mean, hopefully it's a matter of time, but after being so close for so many times, I don't think there's a positive vibe on that. So hopefully we can see it, but I can't tell you when, to be honest.
You've got to be in it.
No chance.
No chance. Borja, I'm not going to ask that question.
Yeah, no, I think it's because we spent so many years trying to enter in the Olympics. I think the squash community nowadays, I don't think is that thinking that much on the Olympics anymore, because we think that it's not only about sport, it's also about economical things, it's also about interest. So we know that the squash is so complete sport. We play in the 5 continents. I think we should deserve to be there, but the squash is such a big sport, and like I said before, such a fun sport that we don't need the Olympics to keep growing, you know. So for a professional that loves squash and have challenges, I don't think Olympics it will be a big difference, because we have challenge every week, every month. Olympics is only once every 4 years. So of course it will help in terms of funding in federation, or maybe try to growing up a little bit more the sport. But I think the sport is still able to growing up much more without being in the Olympics. We have to do a lot of much more work to improve the sport, but doesn't mean you have to be in the Olympics to try to growing up the sport. So yeah, for myself at the moment, I'm just really happy to play in different parts of the world, and if Olympics doesn't go in squash, squash also doesn't want to be in Olympics. I think we are big enough.
Great answer. Okay, anybody else? Who would like to ask these gentlemen a question? Nobody? No, nothing in chat?
I've got one, but I don't know if we've got time.
We asked.
What's the next 2 years looking like, Borja? Are you still going to continue, or are you going to hang up your rackets and consider going to a different part of squash?
Yeah, my idea in August, September last season, it was doing one more season, and then just try to do a different thing. But now with this COVID-19, I played my last tournament in end of February in Chicago, and I did pretty well. I made quarterfinals in a Super Series event. So it was like a little bit frustrating, because I want to play like 3, 4, 5 more tournaments, play Europeans again with Carlos and the boys. and yeah, just to enjoy my last season. But yeah, now at the moment we are so uncertain that we don't know. To start a new thing now is also very difficult. So also I would like to play 3-4 more months, couldn't play because of that. So yeah, and when you pass through a situation like this, you start thinking more and maybe see, okay, now it's more about what I want to do, what I feel to do. Is not more like what I should to do. So I was thinking to play one more season because I love squash, and after this situation, I just want to enjoy again life. Well, I mean, I was enjoying life anyways, but you know, my mother was sick with this problem, and now is recovered, and we passed very bad times in the last month or 2 months. So yeah, the squash will be so good to play again, to travel around the world for one more season, and I will be very happy to give my last go, and then probably one more year. But it depends, maybe appear something, a job in the next month. So never know. You have to also think on your family and yeah, not only in squash.
Good news. That's what I like to hear.
When
I see the highlights come up on YouTube, I'm fast forwarding to see when you and Carlos are playing, and they're the only 2 matches that I want to watch. So you know I'm rooting for you guys. So I do hope all goes well, and a big push for this last season.
I will play one more match in nationals with Carlos.
Oh no! What were you saying before? No.
I will give you one more chance.
You still have to give me one more chance to beat you, man.
I will give you one more.
After 35.
It doesn't matter who wins, as long as you bring it back to Galicia. We don't care.
Yeah, that's the main thing. To Milladoiro, we bring it.
Milladoiro.
No, it's true. Right. If there's no more questions, we'll wrap it up. We've stolen an extra 25 minutes of your time. So from my part, a huge thank you. It's been amazing having you here. Thank you for being so generous and giving us your time and helping out to organize this very quickly. And thank you for everything you give to the sport and to the country and to the region as well. And is a great pride to have you representing Spain and Galicia out there in the world, and a pleasure to watch you. And it's true, you follow us everywhere, to the kitchen, to the lounge, the phone, the iPad, everything follows you, with you guys hitting the ball. So thank you for your effort. Thank you for being here and for spending this time with us on a professional and personal level, and hope to see you doing so well and enjoying the sport for many more matches to come. Okay, so thank you very much. And